Thank you for being a part of the Travel Again Policy Advisor video series. We're having these briefings as part of an effort to gain insight from our expert advisors about their views on rebuilding traveler confidence. Our guest today is Eric Okon, President and COO of the BLS Company, a leading ground transportation advisor, and one of our policy advisors. Welcome, Eric.
Thank you for having me, Michael. It is an absolute pleasure.
Much to talk about. Think about in terms of where we are in the process here of beginning, hopefully getting to some point in the next few months that we can start to see a pathway to the start of a recovery. But what are you seeing in terms of the impact specifically in the ground transportation sector, and kind of where are we now?
Well, the transportation industry in a whole is definitely hurting right now, where ride volumes are not existing. Corporate travel is not anywhere near at its full capacity. However, what we are seeing at our company level is essential travel is happening. And I think that's very good news because the essential travelers have figured out how to do so safely. We deal a lot with the entertainment industry and film production and whatnot. So they are filming, and what that means is that they figured out how to have pretty much containment bubbles end to end, and it starts with transportation. So their requirements on COVID-19 protocols and passenger safety is absolutely paramount, and that is on the top of everybody's mind right now.
Yeah, and I think as we start to find those pockets of business where we're working it out, where, like you said, kind of in those bubbles or quarters where you can start to see and some stability, we need to build on that, right? That's the key to finding the answers to work our way through it on a broad scale, right? Like finding those areas and again, entertainment industry, you're right, is trying to find a way to get back to work and start making content again. What do you think factors into the traveler confidence there? That what you said about what specifically do you hear from your customers that makes them more confident in traveling, even for essential workers?
Yeah, it's been a very slow buildup to actually, having a decent amount of volume of rides. What they're looking for is simple. They want a safe form of transportation, the safest form of transportation possible. So they want a car that has been disinfected. They want vehicles. They want chauffeurs that are COVID-19 pre-screened. They
Right.
want chauffeurs that have been tested for COVID-19, rapid tested prior to the ride, and facilitating that is is helping people travel more. We like to think we're proud of the fact that we're part of the recovery process for
Right.
these companies. And our philosophy is that there's nothing, there's not too much that you can do in order to make safe transportation happen.
Yeah, because it's the reality, but it's also the perception of again how they feel, right? And they have to have that confidence, like around in and around the whole experience. And it's a good point. We talk a lot in the industry broadly about the airline part of it, of course, right? Because if people are flying, then that fuels the basically the activity in the whole industry. But the reality is, to your point, it does begin and end on the ground, and those are the first touch points in a trip, and critical ones, right? To get people on their way and coming away with that confident feeling about traveling. Do you see any changes in terms of what the expectations, if they're kind of first time versus maybe repeat coming back, or is it stay pretty consistent with what
It's
the needs?
it's been very consistent. Every corporation that we're working with is now having COVID-19 specialists. So we're having to work with them, and we're being pre-screened to make sure that we're following all CDC protocols and going above and beyond. So it's leisure and personal travel. Yes, they want the basics of having a divider in the car. The car's been disinfected, and they want a chauffeur that's been tested prior to pickup. As far as large volume clients are concerned, there's new protocols are coming into place, and and we're building our protocols based on what those COVID-19 specialists are actually requesting.
So looking ahead, I mean, what do you think the big challenges are that are coming, let's say in the next, 6 months or so for us as part of the recovery process? What do you think
Yeah.
the big obstacles are?
I think the reality of the situation is, listen, the ground transportation industry is very, very fragmented. It's a lot of mom and pops. There's a lot of family owned, and forbearance is over. Stimulus we hope is going to be coming out, at some point at the end of this year, hopefully beginning of next year. So for a while now, we've been on our own, and the chickens are going to come home to roost as far as who will be left. And that's a huge challenge because you want everybody to survive. Not any one company can take on all of the work.
Right.
So, and we're seeing dominoes falling in tertiary markets in Kalamazoo, Michigan. If you have a ride and that ride comes in at 3 a.m. and it's for 9 a.m., you're going to have a very hard time covering it now as opposed to before. So capacity is becoming a problem.
Right. Yeah, and you'll face that. The good news is, again, is if we start to get into a recovery mode, but the rebuilding will take on a whole different form, to your point,
Yeah.
especially with ground transportation. Yeah.
Yeah.
So why did you join Travel Again as a policy advisor? What drove you to want to join our group?
We want to BLS, our company, and myself, we want to be part of the recovery process. We think it's important, and we think we have a lot to share as far as expertise in the ground transportation side. And this is our life. Once you get into the travel industry, very hard to get out. And when we got the opportunity, we were like, we have to take this on.
That's great. Well, and we certainly appreciate all your input and support of the process. We feel the same.
Couldn't
Getting
do it
back
without
to
you. I
work.
mean, Mike, you're an excellent leader, and so is Ed. You guys are really taking this on, and so articulate in your messaging. So I'm so happy. I'm learning so much being a part of, and with the rest of the advisors, learning so much from them. So it really is valuable.
So, final question: your
Sure.
last trip before the pandemic hit. Where were you before we shut down, and what was your last trip?
February 20th, went to Las Vegas for 3 days for a convention and to also go and see clients. We have an office over there. And it was an international convention. So we were shaking hands and hugging people from
Oh
Italy
yeah.
and from China and doing that whole thing. And we threw a party and the whole 9 yards. And we were actually, middle of March, we had a trip planned to Los Angeles, and I got into a huge argument with people in my company because they didn't want to go, and I'm like, we have to. If we don't go, then our business is going to fall apart. And it did, but it wasn't because we didn't go. It was because COVID-19 was very, very real. And yeah, so it was Las Vegas and potentially Los Angeles.
Wow.
I'm from New York.
So, where do you think your next trip will be when you take one?
Undoubtedly, Los Angeles is probably going to be the first place that we're going
Right.
to go.
Right.
It's just that's one of our hubs, and we got to go for business. As much as I would want it to be Disney, um, you know,
Yeah.
Disney down in Orlando, take my kids and whatnot. I feel like right now business has got to come first.
Yep. Yep. Got to rebuild.
Yep.
Well, thank you again, Eric. I really appreciate again your contributions and as part of the Travel Advisor Group and in your insight. Again, Eric Okon, President COO of the BLS Company. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Michael.